Coaches have been lying to you, and I'm here to tell you the truth. If you want to get out on bottom, it's not about getting wrist control or moving as much as possible. And today, I'm going to share with you the 3 biggest mistakes you might be making that's costing you the escape. If I go to attack hand control, say my opponent has a claw, he has the ability to re-wrist my wrist and keep me down. And this is from pretty much any position. If he's in the arm chop position and I go to attack the tight waist, he can re-wrist. What is the top person's goal? The top person's goal is to get wrist control. So when Will's on top of me, his generally #1 goal, unless he's a leg rider, is to get a cross wrist, to get a one-on-one, to set up most of his turns or to break me flat. So when I'm on bottom, I can't prioritize getting his wrist. That has nothing to do with it. I need to focus on not letting him get my wrist and getting to my feet. Now, if I'm not gonna focus on getting their wrist, what should I focus on? I should focus on sealing off instead of attacking wrist. Now, here's what I mean. If my opponent's in an arm chop position, instead of focusing on grabbing this wrist or grabbing this wrist, I wanna focus on sealing off the space between my side and my tricep to avoid him from getting inside position, especially as I stand on my feet, because if I've sealed him off and he does not have inside positioning, this escape's gonna be very easy. Even if you guys like the sit-out position, my opponent's on top, when I go to sit-out position, I'm not attacking the hands. I am sealing off. I'm pushing the hands, but I don't need control of these hands. He needs control of my wrists. So I wanna seal off, and that gives me the opportunity to stand up and get my escape. So seal off instead of attacking hand control is gonna make a huge difference. But here's the catch. You do wanna go for hand control just at a certain point. And I'm gonna show you guys in a second some real examples of when to attack hand control. But first, let me explain it. When my opponent's on top, my goal is to get to my feet. So I start working up to my feet here. This position here, the quad pod, the tripod, or the moment when you're transitioning from the mat to getting to your feet, when they're allowed to lock their hands, they can lock their hands here, they can't here, they can't here. They can lock when you're on 2 feet though. So that transition is when I focus on not allowing them to lock, attacking the hand control, and clearing and scoring. Here's some examples of people hitting it in Division I national championships.
First example is from Keegan O'Toole in the tripod position, attacking the hands, turning and facing. Second example is from Mitchell Messenbrink, where he actually tries to grab the wrist initially and is not able to stand up. But once he goes to the quad pod position, he can attack the wrist and then get his escape. So even national champions make mistakes, but they adjust, do the right thing, and they're able to get out.
Now moving on to mistake #2. When I'm on bottom, I'm in a defensive position. My opponent is trying to turn me. I'm trying to resist what my opponent is doing. I do not want to focus too much on the escape while neglecting what the top person is trying to do. For example, if the top person is trying to, say, arm chop, and I go to stand up as fast as I can, but I don't recognize that the chop's happening, I may stand up like this and get slammed on the mat with an arm chop. So what I'm gonna focus on is staying in good positioning and continuing to improve. If I'm focusing so much on the escape, say standing up, and this guy's chopping really hard, I'm gonna get smashed on my face. Here's what we wanna focus on. When I'm on bottom, I wanna stay in this position or improve. This is good, this is worse, this is worse, this is worse. He got a half Nelson on me or an arm bar, that's even worse, right? And then when you're on your back and pinned, that's the worst position. Better position, if we're here, this is better, this is better, this is better, this is better, and you keep increasing to better position. So I'm focusing on staying in good position first and then improving. And here's the biggest problem people don't really understand when they're beginning. I wanna resist what my opponent's doing. So if my opponent goes for an arm chop, my hands need to go into that direction. I need to go here, and my toe needs to stick that way too. Demonstrate on Will real quick for you guys. The top person wants to put as much pressure this way as possible. He could be chopping, spot riding, but you wanna use your post, your hands, your toe, to push your weight the opposite way. If you keep your hands straight forwards and they're chopping you're gonna fall that direction. Or some people, even crazier, will put their hands the opposite direction and they're gonna chop you towards there. Make sure you're resisting what your opponent's doing. If they go cross face, I'll dip my head down. The other side I resist. If he goes head lever on this side, I drop my elbow down, right? If he goes for a half Nelson, I drop down. So there's a lot of things that he can do, and I'm prioritizing resist, stay in good position, stop all these things. He goes tight waist ankle, right? I widen my knees, I stick my ankle out when he goes there. He goes cross face again, I dip my head down. So you're battling all these positions. That is the priority. And then you're looking for small improvements as you escape. Now, if it is short time, 10 seconds left, spaz out, roll around as much as you want and try to get out, right? You got short time, you gotta win the match. But in general, focus on good positioning. Stop, some of you guys are down here, your coaches are yelling. This might be controversial, but what do your coaches tell you? Move, 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 right? You're on bottom, move as much as you can, oh, move, move. You're gassing yourself out, boom, he gets your wrist. You make one little mistake as you're moving around like crazy, you get pinned, you get stuck on bottom. If your opponent, we'll say, has your wrist, right? He's got my wrist here, and I'm on my elbow. This is worse position than on my base. So I'm going to get back to my base first by clearing my hand, and then I'll look to escape. But some of you guys, they have your wrist, and you're going for like a sit out or a switch, or you're trying to roll them. And I'm gonna show you guys in mistake number 3, the number one way by far to get out on bottom. So make sure you guys stay for that. But it's not all these Granby rolls, switch, sit out, hip heist. Not only are those moves a lot of times more complex, but they're not nearly as effective. And that ends mistake number 2. Beginners do not focus on positioning. In this third tip, or third mistake you guys are making, I'm going to prove without a doubt that a stand-up, specifically quad pod or tripod stand-up, is the number one way to escape, and the other escapes are not even close. Now, why don't the other escapes or the other stand-ups work as well as the quad pod and tripod? The first one is an outside leg stand-up. Most people pressure towards the side they're on. So if Will's on my left side and I go to do an outside leg stand up, I'm here, boom, I seal off, I'm gonna fall where he's taking me. All right, I have nothing resisting, especially if they're explosive, going for that chop, okay? Okay, now I got an inside leg stand up, right? An explosive inside leg stand up. Most of the time, they have so much pressure forward on your hands that when you go to explode up, you can't get your foot up through your chest to even be able to stand to your feet. But here's why it works. You need your hands to stand up most of the time. Most good wrestlers have such heavy forward pressure, they're driving forwards, you can't stand up here, you can't throw your legs up, that you need to use your hands as support points to lift yourself in the air. It's as simple as that. And then the other thing we talked about is fighting for hand control once you're here, right? This was one of the earlier steps we talked about. Even if you can't attack the wrists, you can't get the wrist control. If you get to your feet and they lock their hands, now focus on staying on your feet. Tip that I would give everybody, if you wanna get out, is get to your feet, stay on your feet. Get to your feet, stay on your feet. He goes to lift me, I hook his leg. I don't allow him to lift me, right? If he does mat return me a little bit, I'm just gonna barely touch. And when I touch my hand or my knee, he then has to unlock his hands, and it gives me another opportunity to seal off and fight the grip. Let's actually watch Bo Nickel explain this exact same concept in one of his match reviews on his channel.
He gets inside, boom, I'm up to my feet. I don't want to be standing straight up where I'm easy to lift. I want my weight to be a little forward, and I don't really care if this guy locks his hands. My opponent goes to lift me up. Look at my left leg, comes inside, blocks him, stops me from being lifted into the air and mat returned. If you're having trouble getting away off bottom, you need to work on not getting mat returned. He just lets me go because he couldn't mat return me, right? So I hooked his leg a few times. He's like, you know what? It's not worth it. He doesn't even try. He just lets me go, cuts me loose. I'm out within 10 seconds. Don't do any of this Grambian switching nonsense. It's a bunch of crap. If the guy holds on to you, he's just gonna get called for stalling. So just stay on your feet, don't get mat returned, and eventually he's gonna let you go.
So if you don't trust me, at least trust a Division I national champ Bo Nickel in a program that's been the best for the past, whatever, decade. Too many of you guys are down on the mat, and the first things you're learning are sit-outs and, sit-outs and switches, and especially the fat man roll, which one of my wrestlers, Andrew Pappas, used to always hit, but these fat man roll stuff, and then they wonder why the bottom's their worst position, because they're doing everything else but a stand-up, right? And they're looking for maybe it's the easy way out, but a lot of times you get stuck flat on your stomach when that happens. So let's move on to showing you a bunch of clips of people hitting the correct way to stand up, and hopefully that will convince you to start working your stand-ups.
First up, we got Carter Starachi, my man, 5-time national champ, using the tripod stand-up to get to his feet, then attack the hand control, and he's staying on his feet. He's not getting mat return. That is super important. Next, we got Lucas Bird. Getting to the tripod position, Drake Ayala goes to drop down and reduce, and he kicks free and gets his escape. Next up, we got Wyatt Hendrickson getting to the tripod position, attacking the hand control, turning, and getting his escape. Then we got Gable Stevenson doing it to Wyatt, a few minutes later. I mean, how many tripod stand-ups do you have to see before you believe and start using it to get out? This is the last one, Troy Spratley, but there's so many others where they're getting to this tripod position, then they're attacking the hands, they're staying on their feet, they're looking for an opportunity to get their escape, maybe when their opponent reduces, like Vince Robinson does right here.
And that ends with mistake number 3. A beginner does every single move except for a stand-up. So if you're a beginner and you focus on sealing off, prioritizing staying in good position, and getting to your feet and staying on your feet, you are going to drastically improve your bottom. And if you struggle with getting out of legs, which is the second most important technique you need to learn on bottom, check out my leg reversal video right here.